Welcome into the Edge of Philly Sports and the Painted Lines pregame live. I'm Freddie Burns here with Chris Dives of the Painted Lines. We're going to be right back. Eagles 1 o'clock versus the Colts. We got matchups, predictions, injury report, even a little Eagles Colts history. We got all you need to get ready for 1 o'clock. See you in a few. Welcome into the Painted Lines and Edge of Philly Sports. I'm Freddie Burns. Chris Dives is here with me at the Painted Lines. Chris, I know me and you complain about this. We finally have a 1 o'clock game, my friend. 1 o'clock. How are we feeling about the 1 o'clock today?
There is no better start time for football than 1 o'clock. My smoker is on. I've got some shrimp burritos ready to roll. That is when football needs to go down because these night games absolutely kill me. I'm old. I've got a daughter. I work early in the mornings. Happy to be back, man.
We are so old to say those things. I never thought I would, but yeah, night games used to be, I'm so excited. What are you doing for the night game? You going out for it? That where it's like
no.
With us, we're covering the game, and then B, it's like, oh my God, I gotta get up for work tomorrow. Like, come on, get through this.
Plus the hangovers are so much worse. Day drinking all day. You
can drink in the night games. I can't even do it anymore.
No, not a chance. Not a chance. Not when it works the next day. Nope.
Well, our 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles are traveling to Indianapolis to take on the 4-5-1 Colts. Nick Sirianni returns to his former place. He's been in a few places, but where most notably as a Colt, where the Eagles found him and brought him to Philadelphia. The Colts, they made us some changes. They've looked like trash all year. They fire their offensive coordinator. Then the next week they fire Frank Reich, hire Jeff Saturday, no experience. Then they go beat the Oakland Raiders to move to 4-5-1. Suddenly, they're a half game out of a wild card spot, a half game behind the 6th seed Patriots. The Eagles, on the other hand, first loss of the season, are now 8-1. First in the NFC because they have the tiebreaker over the Minnesota Vikings. But the New York Football Giants are on our heels at 7-2. So this is kind of a big game. How are we feeling?
A little nervous. I'm kind of in the same boat as last week. I was nervous about the Washington Commanders game. This is the bounce back game for the Eagles. I want to see this offense get back to being aggressive, moving downfield. We're going to break down what that all means. But I'm definitely, the nerves are there. Like the blueprint is also there of potentially how to slow down this Eagles offense. So definitely more nervous than excited.
I am nervous as well. This series is not that it matters, but I always like to just dive into it. This series, they're 10-10, so we're all tied as far as, and it goes all the way back to 1950. Curious, the Colts are I just remember this blue and white, Peyton Manning maybe, but any Eagles-Colts memory that comes to mind for you?
Not really. Just basically a lot of combine stuff. When I think of Indianapolis, I think of just, taking off work and just sitting on my ass and watching combine all day long. So that's basically when it comes to that.
I agree with you. The only thing that does stand out to me is when McNabb went down. I remember Jeff Garcia took over against the Colts.
That was a good one.
It just piqued my mind. But the Eagles got blown out. I think they were down 21-0 before we could blink. Peyton Manning, I think Adai was the runner back then. But that's one that comes to mind. But yeah, I agree with you. It's nothing really. Sometimes with these matchups, there's certain memories that pop in, like, the Chargers. I remember that blocked field goal. It's like they're not really rivalries, but there's some games that you can pull from. So before we get into the actual matchup, let's go through the injury report real quick. Obviously, last week the Eagles lose Dallas Goedert. That's a big loss. He's probably going to be out till week 14 or 15. Avante Maddox is out as well. That was a huge issue last week. Anytime they went man-to-man, Terry McLaurin tore up whoever was in the slot, whether that was Josiah Scott or C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And then, obviously, Jordan Davis is still out as well. For the Colts, Kwity Paye's out. That's an injury that's notable. That's a strength of them. Shaq Leonard, he's been battling injuries all year, but he finally had season-ending back surgery on Tuesday, so no worries with him there. And there's a few other people questionable, but one most notably is their starting right tackle for me, Braden Smith. He has some back issues, which you know how the back can be. He could play, and then midway through the game, he's out. So that's the injuries. I want to start here with the defense. Jonathon Gannon took a ton of heat last week. The defensive line was getting blown off the ball. The stats will deceive you. It will show 3.1 yards per carry by the Washington Commanders, but you could tell they had the control of the game through that run game. The Eagles respond by signing Joseph Linval, who was a two-time Pro Bowler with the Chargers, as well as Ndamukong Suh. We all know who he is. How do you feel about the signings and what's going on with our D-line?
Yeah, it starts there. Like that was one of the biggest takes of that Commanders game, was just how, I guess, out physical, if that's a word, the Eagles were on the defensive line against the Washington Commanders. You look at Matt Ryan versus, Jonathon Gannon's blitz, like we said against the Texans, like we said against the Commanders, like the blueprint is out. Run short, get the ball out fast to like your slot receivers or down the field. And the Eagles really didn't have an answer for that, but really excited about the signings, especially Sue. They needed to bring, some big bodies on the interior, especially because Jordan Davis was sensational and got better and better. We were even seeing him in even man fronts and things like that. Like he was getting to the quarterback in more obvious passing downs, which is really fun to see. So that was unfortunate, but Sue, Joseph, those guys are definitely going to add beef. Like as much as I dog Chip Kelly and his time in Philadelphia, like that comment he made still is so true, is the big people beat up little people, and it starts on the line. So when you talk about slowing down this Indianapolis Colts team, it starts with run defense. It starts with getting to Matt Ryan. But let's start with getting to Matt Ryan with Jonathon Gannon's blitz. People are dogging Gannon. I'm not so much on Gannon's performance and schemes versus the Commanders. I thought he did adjust. You saw the blitz go up big time between the first and second half. I thought he did make adjustments. They only held the Commanders to 3.1 yards per carry. So Sue and Joseph are going to, be big time supporters in that, especially on obvious rundowns. I don't even know where to start here, but let's go to pass rush. Matt Ryan is really good at getting the ball out fast. This offense for the Colts is one that will do a lot of no huddles. They want to get the ball going. And the Eagles have kind of struggled with that this season. And I think we need to see Robert Quinn. We need to see Josh Sweat get into Matt Ryan's grill because you look at pressure. Matt Ryan is not that great. 48% completion percentage when under pressure. He's got 2 touchdowns and 7 interceptions this year. And the Colts offense runs 4th most no huddle. So you're probably not going to see a lot of blitz in this one. The Eagles just have to do a better job of just effort, just executing defensively. Those 4-man rushes. We need to see a much more efficient defensive line today. And, you look at this Colts quick fire offense, man, can they keep the Eagles offense off the field? That was what the Commanders did so well, like Cobra Kai. I'm a big Cobra Kai guy. Sometimes the best defense is a great offense. Can the Colts replicate that success with those 10-minute long sustaining drives and elite on third downs? I don't think they can do that. We'll see.
Big Al checks in. I fully expect the D-line to step up after last week, kind of like last year when they got beat early on. We all better expect it. They just went out and signed 2 top veteran defensive linemen, but they've had these spurts all year, in my opinion, even when they're winning, where they get that Lions game, they got blown off the ball. Like there's these times where I don't know what it is, they just don't get off the ball for off the line of scrimmage quick enough. To your point, Dibes. Well, first on the Cobra Kai, you brought that up last week as well. I'm noticing your Cobra Kai love when I did when I brought up like running the ball. So that I stopped midway through that series. I gotta finish that thing. That was good. Well, it was getting into like my kids. Like I was watching with my 5-year-old, and I didn't want to see some stuff. So whatever. Anyhow, off Cobra Kai. I don't know why I went there. To your point about Jonathon Gannon, and I'm curious if you'll know this. I grabbed this from Johnny Page of Bleeding Green Nation. So the Eagles going into last week were they had 50 snaps where they stacked the box on the defense, stacked the box against the offense, which ranked 27th in the league, right? Just one game. After that Commanders game, where do you think they rank now?
Oh, my.
Just a guess.
Top 15?
15. In one game, they go from 27th to 15 with 103 snaps. So they basically did they did what they did all year. So people complain about Gannon. To your point, he did adjust. He stacked the box, and he also made adjustments when he could with his coverage as far as in the slot with Terry McLaurin. Every time they went to man, he tore him up. So pump the brakes on Gannon. Let's attack this D line a little bit. One thing, as you were getting into the edge rusher there, you have to get to Matt Ryan, as you said. That Braden Smith, the right tackle, who's injured, will be matched up against Sweat and Robert Quinn. So that is a very interesting matchup to watch, because if he's hurt, and we've seen it through Matt Ryan's entire career with the Falcons. You get to Matt Ryan, he doesn't want to play. You hit him a few times, he's just not there. So I couldn't agree more.
Let's real quick on their offensive line too. They are Bernard Raymond. I was really high on that dude in the draft. He's a rookie. You look at their right guard, Will Fries, I think his name is Fries. This dude was a 7th round pick out of Penn State. You've got Matt Pryor. The dude has been benched 3 times this season. If the Eagles can't generate a consistent pass rush against this weak Colts offensive line, we've got bigger problems.
And it is confirmed Ndamukong Suh was active and will play. There was
nice.
Just got in Thursday. I just came across this Eagles notification, so that's good. He will play. Gannon, the Colts run a single tight end offense for the most part, but that was under Reich, so it's kind of curious with Saturday, a little bit different. I mean, they got Paris Campbell involved last week. He had 7 catches for 76 yards. Free fantasy football waiver wires going nuts there. And then they did run the football. Jonathan Taylor, 22 carries, 147 yards. So that's definitely going to be the recipe against the Eagles. One question I have, the linebackers for the Eagles, they're frustrating me on the run defense as well. There are a couple times I saw TJ Edwards up there just really like playing patty cake, like behind, like he's got to be like zoning and attacking that hole. And I was screaming. The one adjustment I did want Gannon to make is, can we see some 4-3? Can you bring Nakobe Dean in or Davion Taylor and just try it, Dives? I'm not saying like run the 4-3 for 50% of the snaps, but isn't that something that would help you think?
Yeah, I actually messaged my friends that like the day after, like maybe it's time to see some Nakobe Dean. Why not? Why the hell not? Like, the run defense has been so bad. Like it's pretty obvious where the Eagles' weaknesses are. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. It's kind of been like feast or famine with these Eagles linebackers. They've been great or they've been like not great. There hasn't been an in the middle here. Although, Quentin, did you see Matt Ryan's 39-yard scramble last week? That was pretty epic. You see this old white guy running down the sideline. That was hilarious. I don't know if that's the biggest rush of his career, but it was really funny to watch. But yeah, I would love it. Why not? Like I said, because the execution has been really bad, and I'm speaking mostly about TJ Edwards, who has been either great, especially on the blitz, rushing up the middle, but it's kind of been that's kind of what it's been.
Last thing, I continue to say it's a huge issue. The injury to Avonte Maddox is a problem. Yeah. The slot is a problem, and as great as C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been, and maybe he was great in the slot with the Saints, he has not done well in the slot. And I go all the way back to that Jacksonville game. If it wasn't raining and pouring, we might have lost that Jacksonville game because the slot was wide open. What are we going to do with the slot? Do we have to continue to play zone and just hope? I don't know.
I mean, it's not just the slot though, too. Like
I know it's up, but that opens it up for everything else because they have to play zone due to this. So now Slay can't. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's a big problem. You know, they gave up a few first downs from the slot last week. We're gonna see how Jonathon Gannon adjusts, and I think it all starts and ends with a consistent pass rush. That's just my take. We all know that a dominant pass rush makes everyone else look better. So for me, it is what it is. Scott is Josiah Scott. You know, they're kind of getting hit by these injuries, and this is kind of the roller coaster. This is why the NFL is so great, because it's just a roller coaster every week. You never know. For me, let's get something out of Robert Quinn. The dude hasn't done a damn thing since his return here. When we talk about consistent pass rush, Robert Quinn is a fraud. This might be, you know, as much as I've been praising Howie over these last couple of years, like this trade looks absolutely brutal, man. Robert Quinn, he played 20 snaps against the Steelers. He played 7 snaps the next week against the Texans. He only played 22 snaps against the Commanders. Like, what does this dude do? Like, he's not even in the game to generate a pass rush, and that's what we need. The Eagles need to generate a 4-man rush that, you know, consistently gets into the backfield, and he's done nothing. So, as much as I want to complain about Josiah Scott, he sucks. It is what it is. It all comes to Jonathon Gannon more so disguising those blitzes and bringing more pressure when he needs to on those obvious passing downs, because that's kind of what I don't really blame Jonathon Gannon in the respect, you know, of the coverage, because there wasn't that many obvious passing downs. The Commanders really bullied the Eagles on the line. They were in a lot of running downs, and they kind of were able to kind of pick apart and make the Eagles defense guess. Whereas, like, that's kind of what's been so efficient and amazing about the Eagles offense. And that's why the Dallas Goedert injury is going to be so bad, because that ability to make defenses guess, especially in that RPO game, you know, Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert, that RPO 3rd and short, 4th and short has been such a weapon. And we're kind of seeing the other end of it. Like, so other offenses have been able to exploit these mismatches against the Eagles defense. How Jonathon Gannon kind of counters that is definitely more disguises with the blitz and just putting guys in better positions.
Couldn't agree more. And idiot Robert Quinn's agent for agreeing to be a free agent after this year is pretty dumb too, because he's if he continues to play this, he's not going to get anywhere near that what that contract would have been. But you bring up the Eagles offense, so let's move over to that side of the ball. The Gus Bus is in town. Remember Gus Bradley? You brought up Chip Kelly earlier. If Chip Kelly doesn't make that call, we basically would have had Gus Bradley as our head coach, notably with Seattle with the Legion of Boom. You know, he likes to stack the box, play single high, a lot of underneath zone, that type of thing. Hurts is going to have to stand in the pocket. There was a couple last week where I was like, oh, I mean, Jalen, by all means, I'm not blaming him last week. He played great, but there was one, he took off on the pocket too quickly. He's going to have to stand in the pocket today. What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts against this Colts team?
Yeah, it starts with their defensive line. If there's a strength of the Indianapolis Colts, it's 100% the defensive line. I'm talking about DeForest Buckner and mostly Grover Stewart. We can talk about Ngakoue. He's kind of, I don't know, but Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner are really, really strong. This is arguably a top 10 defensive line. The good news for Jalen Hurts, though, this team never blitzes. And that's the one area that Jalen Hurts has struggled just a bit. If there's one area that Jalen Hurts has not took that next step, I agree with this, Wayne. Absolutely 100% Ryan Kerrigan. I actually almost brought that up. Ryan Kerrigan was on my list with a question mark because he's been such a disappointment. But yeah, this is a Colts team that's not going to blitz you. They're going to rely on a 4-man rush with, you know, Buckner and Stewart and Ngakoue. And that's kind of going to be a tough matchup because they've got some speed on the interior, whether especially with DeForest Buckner. And you look at speed against Jordan Mailata. That has been a struggle for Mailata. As good as Jordan Mailata is, and I think he's an all-pro, he's done so much
Not
more.
This year.
Yeah, it's true. Much more. Jordan Mailata handles, bigger guys, bull rushes, like power edge rushers. He does not do well against speedsters like Ngakoue. So we saw that last year. I think Ngakoue was with the Raiders, and he kind of gave Jordan Mailata fits. So, and then you go to Buckner, who has got quickness. So I see it more so not a Jalen Hurts issue. I'm looking at Jordan Mailata versus Ngakoue. I'm looking at Buckner and Grover Stewart versus Landon Dickerson and things like that, because this is an Eagles offensive line that has struggled at times with the speed, the pass rushing speed that this Colts defensive line has.
And what adjustments Jeff Stoutland makes. We joke it's Jeff Stoutland you, but these are the games where we need Jeff Stoutland you to really step up and find those adjustments to help Jordan Mailata and whoever's there.
This is a good defensive line. Like, I don't know, I don't listen to sports radio anymore, but like if I were to guess, I think a lot of Eagles fans are probably like, oh, it's the Colts. Oh, it's just the Colts. Like their run defense is really good. And where I think the Eagles can exploit them is with the pass, but like, this is a top 10 defensive line. They better be prepared. For how many times we said this year, the Eagles, whether it's Nick Sirianni or Stan Steichen, like they've been prepared offensively for the most part. But the last couple of weeks, it has not been that case. So they need to be prepared for Buckner and Yannick, and we'll see from the first quarter on. We'll see it from the jump. It's very obvious.
Yeah, Gus Bradley's a good defensive coordinator as well. Not that this is a real matchup I want to get into, but Rodney McLeod returns. We're going up against Rodney McLeod again. He's starting strong safety for the Colts. That's pretty cool that he's got a job and he's playing. Put Super Bowl safety there for the Eagles. I want to get into the injury of the Eagles. Are going to have to spread them out. To your point, if they're stacking the box, the Eagles are going to have to spread them out. But I want to get into the injury first. Dallas Goedert is injured. That's a huge loss. Jack Stoll will make his start as a Philadelphia Eagle at tight end. Now, he has one catch on the season, but I don't think what most people know is he's been on the field for 50% of the snaps. So he's been on the field, and he is rated by Pro Football Focus 5th as a run blocker. So I know they're stacking the box, but his strength is obviously running a run block, but then again, he hasn't been given a chance to catch the ball either. What do you think there with that injury, and how's Jack Stoll going to do?
It hurts, just like I said in the RPOs, because that's what makes the Eagles third. That's why they're among the best in league in third downs and fourth downs, and of course the QB sneak. But like the ability to use the RPO and Jalen Hurts' like number one skill set, and a Dallas Goedert, and get defenses on their toes at any moment is why they've been so efficient. I expect Jack Stoll to be basically in there for pass protection. I think we're probably going to see more snaps from him just to kind of cover those weaknesses, especially like Jordan Mailata and Dickerson against those speedsters that the Colts have on the defensive line. Is Tyree Wilson going to play today? Not Tyree Wilson. I'm sorry.
This is Jackson, but this is why I like. Me and Dimes do not talk about anything before the show because we like it to be like, spur of the moment. And I swear to God, I thought that was going to be my sneak guy, Tyree Jackson. And I'm so awesome that you said it as well. I just want to comment one thing on the Jack Stoll. Guess where he ranks according to Pro Football Focus as a pass blocker?
Where? I don't know. I have no idea.
30th.
Yeah, that's not great.
But I mean, he hasn't done much. I mean, Goddard's been on the passing plays. But talk about Tyree Jackson, because Grant Caltera, I know he's a high-rated tight end. He has the build of a Dallas Goedert, but Tyree Jackson, he's had some injury issues. He could be a guy today. I agree. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Tyree, I called this the Tyree Jackson Victory Tour. Does it start today? Because that's like an underrated area of weakness for this Eagles offense is that secondary tight end. And Jack Stoll is fun, but they need something else. And Tyree Jackson, man, obviously he's a physical freak. 6'7", 250. He had a 4.59 40-yard dash, 34-inch vert. Did you know, man? Like, the dude was the player of the game at the 2019 Senior Bowl as a quarterback. Like, so
I did not know that.
Yeah, so this dude is an elite athlete. He moved to tight end when he got in the NFL, and he's had flashes. It's just the problem is he can't get on the field. He's been bit by the injury bug, and all sorts of different things like that. So the opportunity right now is huge for him to kind of make a name for himself. Again, 6'7", huge catch radius for Jalen Hurts on these. I'm excited to see him play because I don't think Calcaterra he's just not there yet. And could this be a game where we see Tyree Jackson sneak in a touchdown in the red zone? That would be really fun.
I think you can put him out. He has some speed to him too. Like you said, very athletic. He could be like a wide receiver at some points, not all the time. So you can, as we're going to get into, as the Eagles need to spread them out with the way they stack the box. That's how to win this football game. If you put him out there in the slot, that changes things. You got a small corner set up there. You got the size on a linebacker. This could very well be a Tyree Jackson game. And if we are both right, we got to clip this out and just post this everywhere.
I love it.
Definitely want to see Tyree elevate to stardom today. Feed him repeatedly. We're with you, Wayne. Thank you for listening.
Throw it up. Just throw it up there, man. He'll bring it down.
The fish lobbyist. I bet today the D will see a ton of Taylor.
Oh man!
After the Green Bay game.
Oh man!
Yeah, we talked about that definitely, and that's why the Eagles signed 2 defensive tackles of notable veterans, and that's why we stacked the box more than we ever have last week in the Commanders game. So, agreed. They're going to test us. They better stop the run.
The worst part about that is like Jonathon Taylor and the Colts offensive line have not been good at running the football this season. They've somewhat regressed. Like last year, the Colts were winning games because of their excellent run game. The problem is last week they finally got on track with I think they had over 200 yards as a team. So yeah,
208. Yep.
That's it. That's it right there, man.
The Jeff Saturday approach. Yep. Right now, let's get it. Well, before we get into our predicted player of the game, Tyree Jackson, and we might have to pick someone else, and overall predictions, I want to get into some of our sponsors. And first, I want to get into David R. Cherry Esquire, cherryinjurylaw.com. You can call him now, 610-565-0300, workers' compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law. Give him a call right now. If you got an issue right now, you could have been in an accident last night. For all I know, you could have been injured at work today, yesterday, any day. Give him a call. He's really going to help you out. He's great at what he does. Call David R. Cherry Esquire. Call now. And also, I want to get into, and they're down in Indianapolis today, PhillySportsTrips.com. They are the best travel site out there. They're selling out like crazy. You see up here the Bears game, the Giants trip to New York. That is now sold out. You could only do tailgate there. They have a great trip to Chicago. That is selling out as well. Let me check that actually. Let's see where we're at there. 3-night packages are all sold out for 1 and 2 room. They have some available for 3 and 4 room and some night travel options. Chicago is freaking awesome. I would definitely go to PhillySportsTrips.com. Check them out.
Man, my wife and I did some Phillies trips to Chicago, and it is just such a fun town. Oh man,
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Also, me and Dives, not me this time. Dives will be back with Shane, half of the Painted Lines and Bleeding Green Nation at halftime. So make sure you tune in at halftime, as well as our post-game show as well, right after the game. Let's talk into our predicted players of the game. I'll let you go first, Dives. Who is your predicted player of the game?
I'll go A.J. Brown. I would like to see A.J. Brown get more attention this week. You look at kind of this run defense for the Colts. It's really good. It's really, really good. So especially on first down. So I expect the Eagles to really attack them on first downs with the pass. So anybody that's out there screaming like run the damn ball, it's not going to happen this week. At least I think. I think A.J. Brown Devontae Smith, especially, are going to have really big games today. The biggest guy here to look at is Kenny Moore. He's a defensive back for the Colts. He's really struggled. They have Stephen Gilmore and then really nothing after that. So
Miami?
for me,
Is Kenny Moore out of Miami?
Could be.
I don't know.
I could be wrong.
I'll look it up. Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
It's fine. So yeah.
Valdosta State. Not even close.
Okay. So for me, I think Jalen Hurts taking advantage of some of these mismatches with like Kenny Moore and stuff are going to be very key. But yeah, it's AJ Brown. Let's get back to that aggressive mindset. This is a Colts team that loves to do single high. There's going to be opportunities to be aggressive, move the ball downfield in big chunks. AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts did not have it last week. Player of the game is Howie Roseman. He always says that. But I'll go AJ Brown with. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to go AJ Brown as my player of the game. Cool.
AJ Brown, that's a good one. Quentin Moore, I get what we both get what you're saying with the signings. I guess he'd be the player of the game. If Suh and Linval have a huge impact, it probably you'd be right. It is Howie Roseman, I guess.
Right.
I'm going to go. I think they will have an impact, but I just think it's way too quick to be acclimated for them to have a huge impact. I think they will cause havoc as far as them being able to run up and down our throats. Mm-hmm. My player, and you kind of mentioned him, I think Robert Quinn may have a sack today, but I'm going Josh Sweat.
Nice.
100%. I've loved Josh Sweat since we drafted him. We got him as a steal because he was injured, 5-6 years ago. He's ended up being a 4th round pick. Could have been a top 1st round pick if he didn't get injured. He showed some signs of life last week off the corner, and then he got hurt. He came back in, but I don't see anything on the injury report, so I'm hoping he's good to go. Josh Sweat is going to be my player of the game. I think he's going to wreak havoc all over Matt Ryan, which is going to in turn make their offense pretty stale. So Josh Sweat will be my player of the game. Wayne checks in here. We're about to go right into predictions. I'm 31-13 Burns. Birds, Devontae Smith, Farrow, Hargrave for D, special star, Tyree Jackson. Our listeners, me and Dives, we're all on the Tyree Jackson train, except Josh Ross Films coming in. Grant Calcaterra, first career TD today. Maybe
like on a wheel route or something like that. Find him wide open on the sideline. I'd love it.
Definitely. So that one of the tight ends is gonna have a catch today. Well, they have to have a catch. So someone is gonna be right today there. Let's get into your. Did I do my play? Yeah, I did my player game. Who's your game prediction? What do you think? The Colts are depending on where you look, 6.5 to 7.5 point underdogs at home. Where does your prediction lie on today's game? The Jeff Saturday led Colts.
Yeah, I think 31-13 is actually a pretty decent guess. I don't think the Eagles have top 30 points since the Jordan Davis injury. I could be wrong there. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit less. I'm going to go 26-14. Eagles get the W.
Like it. I think a big key to this game is turnovers.
Yeah.
Very uncharacteristic of this offense to turn the football over like they did last week. I don't think that happens again this week. I think they clean it up. Hurts is such a good leader. I'm going to go. I don't think they're going to top the 30s either. I'm going to go 24-14 Eagles. I don't think it's that close, though. I think it's more of like a late score by the Colts. The Colts are going to try to run the football, and I really don't think there's anything, the Eagles I think they're going to improve on that, and they're not going to be able to run for 208 yards like they did last week. One guy I want to note, and it typically happens when you play your former team, Zach Pascal will match up against the Colts. You got to know Sirianni is dialing something up in the end zone for Zach Pascal today. I'll bet that may happen. So sleeper, if you're doing the FanDuel or DraftKings anytime TD guys, I think Zach Pascal is a really good one to pick.
I mean, can I say Nick Sirianni, like coming back home, with the Colts, like wouldn't it be awesome to see him like just go for the jugular, like bang, 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 3 quick touchdowns. Because this is a huge bounce back game. The Eagles are we've kind of propped them gave them so many props all season long about how they're consistently prepared and their game plan has been strong. And we've seen this offense attack downfield. They've kind of got away from that a little bit these last couple of weeks. I think it's going to be a close game, Freddie, but there is definitely a part of me that hopes we'll see the Eagles just come out and just roll this team over and make a statement.
And you got like we spoke about earlier in the show, the Giants are on your heels. They're facing a 3-6 Lions team that seems like they're starting to get their offense together again. Amon-Ra St. Brown is completely healthy. So, I mean, the Lions, I think, could win that football game, but likely no. So the Giants are right on our heels, and we still got to play them twice. Before we wrap up, let's get into our amazing lineup here on the Painted Lines and Edge of Philly Sports. You can check us basically every single day of the week. We got post-game Sixers, Flyers, Phillies if they're playing. Obviously, we're doing the Eagles now. 6 o'clock on Mondays, you got the Sully Squad from Devereaux Sports. You got Party on Broad from the Painted Line. Clear the Ice, Maddie B. You got the Kelly Green Hour. Philly Press Box Radio, who our very own Bill Furman is actually on the field as we speak. He was texting me pictures. He is on the sidelines right now. I was trying to get him uploaded, but I couldn't. They're on 7 o'clock every Tuesday. Such a great show. Amazing guest there. Birds of the Round Table, another amazing show from the Painted Lines. Talking sports with Maddie B. Chalk Talk. I mean, one of my personal favorites. I can't describe how much I love Shane Hath and the way he breaks down the film. Such a great mind there. You got the Edge of Philly Sports live show, 8:30. Me, Al, and Joe. It's been mostly Al and Joe as of late. Another great show that covers all sports 4 for 4. Thursday, Bird's IQ with Kyle Quinn and the Attacking Third, if you like some Union stuff. The Old School Show, which is a pretty cool show that gets into old school and rankings of the Phillies all the way back to the 50s and 60s. And it's an older guy's on there. His name's escaped me. I know he's a Sullivan. He's Sully's uncle, and he has a lot of knowledge and actually was there back then. So it's really intriguing to listen to. Patterson at Fanatics, 9 a.m. on Saturdays. That show's like being with the guys. I love listening to that. And newly on the network, through the Painted Lines and Fox Sports The Gambler, The Tough Cover. Another great new show on as well. PM and the AM. We even got lacrosse coverage. You like lacrosse? All lacrosse all the time. And they're actually national with the National Lacrosse League. They've written for them and they write for us as well. They have coverage through them as well. Just so much stuff going on. Dives, where can everyone find you?
Right there, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. NFL draft coverage is in full season. We broke down our top 10 targets for the Eagles first from last week. Go check that out. It was great. Awesome guests there. I've got my top 10 edge rushers and my top 10 interior defensive line prospects ranked video coming out today. So that's literally what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go check my giant turkey breast in the smoker, and then I'm going to wrap up those videos before game time. So if you love the NFL draft, that's where you can find me.
And it's awesome. Dives just crushes it. And they're short, sweet, and to the point, in my opinion. They're just that you hit on the great points of them. Even in basketball, the basketball ones you were doing, you do a ton of stuff, and they're just amazing. So definitely check them out. It's worth your time. You can catch me mostly right now on the post, pre, and halftime shows that we're doing for the Eagles, but you can always find me on Twitter at Freddie Burns _ for Chris Dives. I am Freddie Burns. Up real quick, Quentin Moore. I can never root for Dallas. I just can't do it. I'm going to root for Minnesota. We got the tiebreaker. Bury them away. What do you think, Dives?
Yeah, you got to root for it. That's a great question. I didn't even think of that. Did they play each other? I didn't even know.
Today, yep.
Woo!
1.5 point spread.
Woo! What time's that game on?
4 o'clock.
Oh, baby. All right, you can find me. I take that back. The NFL draft, take that out. You can find me sitting on the couch the rest of the day because that's what I'll be doing. So, yeah, it's got to be Minnesota. Got to be Minnesota.
You also got, not that it matters, Steelers and Bengals, which is a good rivalry game at 4 as well. But
no, that's a good one. Yep.
Well, for Chris Dives, I'm Freddie Burns. We will see you next week. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Catch us at halftime. Chris and Shane Haff, as well as post game after the game. Let's go, Birds. Go, Birds.